I'm Mary Kao, and I'm going to show you how to make a very simple paper folded flower from the kinds of materials that you already have at home. So here are some things I will show you. Magazine papers, beautiful colors. Now you might think, oh, this is so bland, but sometimes when you incorporate it with other colors, it's exactly the kind of thing you need. So I'm also going to show you how you would cut the papers and know what sizes to cut them. What's wonderful about origami is that you don't need any equipment, not even scissors. Now, scissors are helpful, and you can certainly use scissors, but I'm also going to show you how to cut paper with paper. You think that's not possible? Well, we'll wait and see if I'll try to demonstrate that. Other papers that you could use are pages from calendars. They have beautiful colors in them. You could also use things like circulars and advertisements that come from different places that have color to it, and envelopes. Now here's an envelope that's interesting, that has a different pattern and color on the other side. And I will be using this for a particular kind of flower where both sides of the paper will be seen. Here's some other kinds of envelopes. I'm sure you've all seen these. They're usually on the inside of the envelope and has beautiful colors, beautiful. Okay. Gift wrap paper is another kind of material that you could use for making flowers. And this flower, because it has 3 different sheets, they need to be connected. And the connector is going to be these plastic things. I think you can recognize what they're from the produce department of grocery stores. When you buy vegetables and let's say a bunch of celery or kale leaves and things like that, they usually come bundled with something like this, and this is what we're going to use to attach the petals together. Okay, so we're going to get started. I'm going to choose some papers here. I'm going to choose this paper. And what are the sizes going to be? Well, it depends on you where you want to use it, all right? I'm going to also give you some measurements, because usually when I teach, that's what people want to know. What's the size? What's the size? Okay, so here I am. I'm going to make this about 3 inches. And I'm taking it off the edge, and you might be seeing a little bit of the white, but that's fine. It will add to the beauty of the flower. Okay, so here I am, ready to cut. So I told you I'm going to cut paper with paper. Here goes. Now it looks simple. And you might try it. You might find it simple also, but it does take a little practice. This is slightly heavier paper. And here's my strip that's 3 inches wide. Now, the dimension of each of the petals is going to be 1 by 2, which means if this is 3 inches, then the other side is going to be 1.5. All right. So the easiest way to get it without using a ruler is to find the square, all right? So if I fold this into a triangle, starting from the very corner of the paper, like so. Then if I fold this over, and if you match up the edges, and I'm going to open it up, that piece there is a square. I'm going to go back to my paper to cut. Okay, there's a square. And if I fold the square exactly in half, now I've got my 1/2. Okay, so that means whatever the width is, the length is twice as long. Okay. So I told you that I need 3 sheets of paper. Okay, so I'm going to take this as my pattern, and I'm just going to fold it over, give it a nice sharp crease. So, the edges are nice and smooth. Nobody would ever know that it wasn't cut with scissors, right? Okay, so I'm going to get started with the folding, okay? And all 3 sheets will be folded in exactly the same way, all right? So we're going to take the short side of the paper to the other short side and fold it. Now, I'm demonstrating it, I'm folding it up so it's easier for you to see, but you can be folding on a flat surface the whole time. All right, so all 3 sheets I told you are folded the same way, so I'm going to do that. Now we're going to open it up, and now we're going to go from the long side of the paper to the other side of the paper and fold it in half. Okay, so this is what it looks like. I'll do that to all 3 sheets. So the back side of the paper will not be seen for this particular flower. Also, the flower that I'm wearing here is exactly the same pattern, except it's made from ribbon, okay, fabric ribbon. Okay, so here I have the sheets folded, all 3, and now we're going to keep that long edge folded, and we're going to fold each of the corners back to the folded edge, like that, okay? Now there's a sequence involved in the folds, and sometimes it doesn't matter if the sequence is not identical, but sometimes it does matter. So the first fold, remember, we made was a short fold going through the middle, and so we want to keep it that way as the first one because the second fold is what we keep folded. So this is what it looks like when it's folded with the 4 corners down. And then I'm going to later show you how to make variations of this flower. Okay, now we need to narrow the petals down, so we're going to take this edge. So right now, if you look at it, this looks like an upside down boat, okay? So we're going to take the short side and fold it down to the other side, which is the folded edge. And once I finish doing that, this petal is ready. So 3 sheets will give you 6 petals, because remember that very first fold that we made, that tells us where the center of the flower is going to be, right there. okay? We're going to bring all 3 sheets just back to back, all facing in the same direction as upside down boats, right side up boat, upside down boat, okay? And what you have to remember is that when we put the tie together, right at the center, it's on an upside down boat, okay? So you're going to do the twisting. You hold the paper and twist. 1, 2, 3. That's about enough, okay? What's nice about these ties is that there is a wire embedded in the inside of the 2 sheets of plastic, so it's very sturdy. Okay, now we're ready to open the petals up. Okay, so I took the sheet on the one side and pinched it, and the sheet on the other outer side and pinched it, and left the middle sheet by itself. So now it looks like that. Now we're going to open the petals. Okay, I'm going to put my thumb inside and going to roll the paper over my index finger. Once the paper has been rolled over, the petal won't collapse on you. It'll keep staying open. So you could make flowers of various sizes. I'm making it this size because that's how much was available from this sheet of paper, where if I didn't want all the writing on it, this was the size paper I was able to harvest. Okay, so you could see the flower appearing. Now, what can you do with this flower? Well, you could wear it around on your wrist. You could attach this, let's say, to a hair clip or something and wear it in your hair, okay? And like what I've done here is made it from a silk ribbon and attached it to a pin clip, a regular kind that they would use for applying onto clothing, and sewed it. Now, this was not as easy to make or take as, as fast to make as the paper one, because every time it was folded, the fabric wasn't going to stay there, so I had to sew it down. But it made into a beautiful pin. And then on this, I added some little silver beads in the center, okay? And there's your flower, okay? And this was the sample I showed you originally, and this was also from paper that came from a calendar, okay? Okay, now, I mentioned to you that I'm going to do a variation of this flower. So let me see if I can find a totally different paper to use. Now, you'll find that magazine papers come in many, many different weights. Okay, here, this is from a catalog, and the cover of the catalog is usually a firmer paper. So I'm going to use this paper and make this into a larger flower. Okay, so I made a nice sharp crease, and I'm just going to rip the paper. Okay, on this flower, I'm making it larger. Okay, so I'm going to make sure I get 3 sheets out of this. So I'm trying, okay, I will, okay. So this is about, I'm going to make it 4 inches, okay? Yes, that's 4 inches. So you know now what the width of the paper is going to be for each petal, right? Because I told you it's 2 to 1. So we're going to find the square of the 4 inch. All right, so there's 4 inches. How did I get it? I made a triangle from the corner, brought it down. You could crease it if you want, but it's not necessary. All I need is a pinch there. And then I fold it over, and here's my square. Now, when I fold this paper in half, I will get my proportion of 2 to 1. Okay? So I'm going to crease it well, and I'm just going to rip the paper. Now this is going to be multicolored kind of a flower, right? Okay, so we do the same thing. We're going to lay the colored side that you want to show, lay it up, and the first fold you make, the color disappears, all right? That's the proper way. If you do it the other way, you're going to end up with a flower that looks like that, with those colors. So that's why you want to start with the pretty side of the paper facing you, and you make that, we call that short fold. You may have also heard that sometimes in origami, to remember what it is, they say make a hamburger bun fold. So this looks like a hamburger bun. And then you open it up and you make a hot dog bun. Okay, so there's the hot dog bun. Okay. Okay. Yep, I have 4 sheets and I have 3 here. All right, so now I'm going to fold. Now this time, to make things go a little faster, I am folding the corners, both corners down at the same time. So I get that crease. And remember, you're going all the way down from the corner, and I have my crease, and then you're going to crease it over. Once you have that crease, it's easy to find it and keep it closed. Okay. So you see what I'm doing. The first time when I showed you with a single corner folded down. Now to make it a little faster, and if you can make your creases nice and sharp, you certainly can do it together. And on the one side, it goes in beautifully. On the other side, you have to reverse it. Okay, and then we're going to, so remember the sequence. That's important because this is what you want to end up with. So the upside down boat will completely show you the color of the flower. If you don't see that, then go back and check and see what you did to make the correction. Okay, so now I have my petals folded. Okay, so for the variation, what I'm going to do is to choose a different color. Okay, let me use the paper from an envelope. And like I say, if yours doesn't rip well, feel free to use scissors. Okay, and I'm going to decide what size the inside's going to be. Okay, so because this flower is going to be so colorful, I'm going to make the inside of the flower more muted. So it's wonderful to be able to fold from a larger piece to a smaller piece. And now I'm finding my little size that I'm going to use to add a second layer to this flower. So I'm making the square again, doing the same thing, finding the square, and then folding it in half to get my proportion of 1:2. Okay, and I'm going to tear it again. So this flower has had many, many uses. I've made centerpieces using these flowers. Okay, here's another thing that I'm going to do so that you're not bored stiff watching me fold every single sheet. What I'm going to do is I packed up 3 sheets all together. Okay, here's 1, 2, 3, okay, and I'm folding them together. So if you're able to do that and get it accurately, hey, do that. All right, but if not, and you need to fold it singly, do that as well. Okay? So doing things in miniature is really good for your fingers at any age. For a younger person, it helps you with your manual dexterity and fine motor skills. Now, did you know that origami is very much connected to mathematics? Okay, and usually we find people who are good in math usually are very good in folding paper. Okay, so you could see how tiny this is. When the paper gets too many layers, it's really hard then to fold. So now I'm moving it out singly and folding it, but it really doesn't take long. And I'm telling you, if you need to find something to calm you down, get some paper and fold. You'll be amazed how that will really calm you down. So I'm going to set the small sheet of paper inside of the larger petals, making sure that I'm centered all the way through. Okay. All right, and here's my trusty tie from produce, holding to right on the very bottom, nice and tight. Okay, you can see it doesn't move. And then taking the paper and twisting it. 1, 2, 3. Okay, if you twist it too many times, that wire might not hold for you. Okay, so we do the same thing. We're going to open up the petals. Okay, the outer side. This is the middle paper. And give it a sharp pinch. Okay, and now I'm going to go to the very center And I'm going to roll the paper over my index finger. Like that. Okay, you see how the petals won't collapse on you once it's rolled over. So you see, thumb on top, inside the petal at the very center, draw it out, keep all this paper in together, don't let it come out, and then roll it over. Your index finger is on the bottom, and then just roll the paper over your index finger, as simple as that. Okay, and you do that to each of the petals, making sure you hold on to all the papers underneath, so it looks like a really clean looking flower. Okay, so see, the inside of the flower now it shows the paper from the envelope. Okay, so that's a variation. Now, I'm going to show you yet another variation, and this time I'm going to use paper that has colored different things on both sides. Okay, I've already cut the paper, and now I'm going to fold it. Now watch for where I do the variation. Beginning step is the same. So on this flower, should I make it an orange color with the black and white on the tips? Or shall I make it a black and white flower with orange on the tips shown? Maybe I'll do it this way. All right, with the black and white flower. So you see, whatever flower you want it to be, that's the side that has to start up with, okay? So you know. All right, there we go. And then we open it up, do the same thing, okay? So the black and white is now still on the inside. Okay. Now for this time, instead of turning down the corners, I'm going to narrow it. Okay. So I'm narrowing it on this side, turning it over, narrowing it, and bringing it all the way to the other side. So each time when you're folding it down, you know exactly where to fold it to. Okay, you're folding it exactly in half. Okay, there you go. And now I'm going to fold those four corners. Okay, it's smaller, but you're doing exactly the same thing. So the four corners are going to get full. And how do you know you're folding it to the correct side? The very center, okay? There's a letter V together, it makes the letter W, right? So you're going to look at it and say, I want W. I don't want the letter M, I want the letter W. And then you're going to fold each one of these corners to up, okay, to that center crease line. Okay, I'm going to open up this petal and show you what it's going to look like so that you can see it. Okay. Okay, I'm going to make a correction here because midway I decided that I was going to show more of the orange. So I'm going to do this instead, okay? Because it's a shame when you have beautiful colors on both sides not to show it. you want to bring out the best of your paper. Okay, so this is what I'm doing now. Midstream, making a change, all right. But I'm sure you can follow. All right, so I'll take this piece of paper and I'm going to show you how I got there. Okay, so the first fold I made was the hamburger bun, opened it up and made a hot dog bun. Then I opened the hot dog bun and I'm folding it down on top. Instead of folding it closed and to the back, I'm now folding it over to the front of the flower. Remember, my flower is going to be the black and white flower. Okay, so there we go. Now I'm going to turn the paper over and crease it to the middle and close it. Okay, and there's my boat that's upside down. All right, we're almost there. Take the 3 pieces and just put it right up next to each other. Make sure they're all in line. Take your tie and fold it over. Holding on the very bottom, nice and snug. Taking your fingers and twisting the paper. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3 twists, that's it. Taking my paper now from the one side and holding it, taking the paper from the other side, holding it, and giving it a nice sharp pinch. Okay, that will help to open up the petals. Now you're ready to open the petals. Okay, and so now you could see how that color, orange, is showing up on the tips. And there's your flower. Okay, isn't that beautiful? I'm going to show you the different ones that we made. This was our first one. Okay. I made, this is the second one. Basically, everything's the same folds, but adding on a separate layer so that you have like a center that's different looking. Okay. And then this one where the folds were made to the top of the flower instead of the bottom, so that you're exposing the color that's on the other side of the paper. Even on the other side, the flower looks beautiful, don't you think? Okay, all right. So I think I'll stop here and we will continue with another kind of flower.